Imagine trying to write a pop song, right? But before you can pen a single lyric, your research team hands you this massive dossier.
Right, just a giant stack of papers.
Exactly. And it's full of like bear wrestling, ancient throat singing, and I kid you not, 30 active volcanoes.
Yeah, I mean, that is definitely not your standard top 40 hit material.
No, not at all. You would probably wonder what genre of music you're actually supposed to be writing at that point.
Well, you'd probably be pretty confused, yeah.
But that is exactly the kind of document we are unpacking today on this deep dive.
It really is a fascinating read.
It's wild. So for you listening, today we are looking at a set of preparatory research notes. They're labeled Russian Research Notes Group B.
Right, Group B.
And their entire purpose is to break down the cultural, geographical, and historical DNA of 5 distinct regions across Russia.
Which is a huge task, by the way.
Totally. It was supposedly compiled to help a lyricist capture the true, pulse of these places.
To really get the vibe.
Right. But what is so striking about it is that it treats the landscape like a world-building fantasy author would.
Oh, absolutely.
Every single detail, from the food to the folklore, is presented as a direct result of the earth beneath their feet.
Which, is a remarkably effective way to view human identity.
Yeah.
I mean, it forces you to look at geography not just as, passive dirt and rocks on a map, but as the active ghostwriter of a culture.
Ghostwriter of a culture. I love that. And that is really our mission today.
Definitely.
Because we want to explore how extreme geography forces humans to adapt. Like, how does the literal ground you walk on dictate the food you crave, the clothes you wear, or, even how loud you sing?
Yeah, and to understand the extremes of a place as vast as Russia, I mean, you have to establish the baseline first.
Right, you need a starting point.
Exactly. You have to start at the center of gravity, which in this case is Moscow.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the notes paint Moscow as a place of absolute unyielding endurance.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, it was founded in 1147, burned by Napoleon in 1812, revolutionized in 1917.
It has seen a lot of history.
But reading this, I'm trying to wrap my head around just the day-to-day survival in that kind of cold.
Yeah, the winter there is no joke.
Right. And the lyricist notes, they highlight the banya, the traditional sauna.
Yes, the banya is crucial.
But it's not just sitting in hot air, right? Like, you steam yourself, and then you literally beat your own skin with birch branches.
That's right.
Why on earth is that the tradition? It sounds, I don't know, intense.
Well, it comes down to basic physiology in a freezing climate.
Okay.
The birch branches, specifically the leaves, they release essential oils, which is great. But the light beating actually stimulates blood circulation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, when you live in a place where the brutal winter constantly tries to, shut down your extremities, you literally have to force your blood to keep moving.
So it's not just relaxing, it's practical.
Exactly. It's an active physical rebellion against the cold.
A biological defense mechanism that makes total sense.
Yeah.
And actually, the food notes read exactly the same way.
Oh, the food is all about survival.
Right. Like borscht, beef stroganoff, blini pancakes. These are not, light, breezy summer salads.
Far from it. I mean, they are calorie-dense, heavy foods designed to be internal furnaces.
Internal furnaces, yeah.
You need deep, slow-burning fuel when the temperature drops that low and just stays there for months.
But here is where the notes leaves me a little bit.
Yeah.
They talk about traditional clothing. The long seraphim dresses, the decorative Kokoshnik headdresses, which obviously insulate against the weather.
Right, the historical layers.
But then they say modern Moscow's sleek winter fashion is practically a personality trait. They describe this culture of polished resilience. And I have to ask, is that really survival?
How do you mean?
Well, it feels like they are equating buying a really expensive, sleek designer winter coat to, surviving Napoleon. Is this just urban posturing?
So you are hitting on a really crucial distinction the notes make about power. In Moscow, survival is institutionalized. I mean, think about the architecture.
Right, like the Kremlin.
Exactly. The imposing red walls of the Kremlin, the massive Soviet-era structures sitting right next to, gleaming modern skyscrapers.
It's a very heavy aesthetic.
Yes, because the goal in Moscow isn't just to not freeze to death.
What is it then?
The goal is to project absolute unshakable power to the rest of the world.
Ah, so looking good while doing it is part of the projection.
Exactly. Polished resilience means you don't just endure the winter. You conquer it, and you look completely untouchable doing it.
That makes a lot of sense.
The environment kind of dictates that weakness isn't an option. either physically or politically.
Wow. Okay, so if Moscow's strategy is to build this polished, unshakable fortress, where do they get the actual raw materials to maintain it?
Well, you have to look east for that.
Right, because the notes transition to the Ural Mountains next, calling it the industrial spine.
Yes, the boundary.
Literally one step in Europe, one step in Asia.
And this region represents a completely different relationship with the earth. I mean, it is a place forged by extracting iron, copper, gold.
Heavy industry.
Very heavy. The geography here is rugged, dense, and heavily forested with the taiga.
You know, the detail that completely stalled my reading in this section was about World War II.
Oh, the factory relocations.
Yes, it just casually mentions that whole Soviet factories were relocated to the Urals to hide from the German invasion.
It is pretty unbelievable.
I just can't process the logistics of that. How do you just, like, pick up a factory and move it?
Frankly, it remains one of the most staggering logistical feats in human history.
I believe it.
We are talking about dismantling thousands of massive industrial plants in Western Russia.
While under attack, right?
Yes, under active attack, loading heavy machinery onto trains and moving them thousands of miles east into the Ural Mountains.
That is insane.
And then they rebuilt them in the bitter cold. I mean, in some cases, they were running the heavy machines in the open air while the factory walls were literally still being built around them.
Wait, running machines in the snow?
Exactly. The mountains acted as this colossal natural shield, but the people still had to endure the elements.
That is mind-boggling. And that working class, heavy metal endurance, it seems to bleed into everything there.
Oh, absolutely.
Even the food. They eat a lot of pelmeni, these little meat dumplings.
Yes, pelmeni.
But I always thought dumplings were just like a standard universal comfort food.
Well, in the Urals and Siberia, pelmeni were originally the ultimate survival ration.
Really?
Yeah. They acted as, like, geographic refrigerators.
Okay, you've had to explain that.
So you can prepare thousands of them, put them in a sack, and just hang them outside your window in the freezing winter.
Oh, wow. Nature's freezer.
Exactly. When you went on a long hunting trip in the taiga, you took a bag of frozen raw meat dumplings, boiled some snow over a fire, and boom, you had instant high-calorie sustenance.
The climate does the preserving for you.
Right. It's incredibly efficient.
That is brilliant. But here is the cultural curveball in these notes for me.
Okay, what is it?
Well, on one hand, you have this gritty, industrial, factory-moving reality.
Sure.
But on the other hand, you have deep ethnic folklore from the Bashkirs, Tatars, Udmurts, and Komi people.
Very rich traditions, yeah.
They talk about ancient forest spirits, the Tatar Sabantu harvest festival, and playing the Kurai flute.
Yep.
Oh, and Yekaterinburg in the Urals is apparently the birthplace of legendary Russian rock music, like the band Nautilus Pompilius.
It is.
I'm struggling to find the through line here. How does a region simultaneously produce ethereal nature spirits, giant steel factories, and 1980s rock bands?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the unifying factor is really the sheer weight of the environment.
The weight.
Yeah. The ancient animistic beliefs, respecting forest spirits, they emerged because the taiga is an overwhelming, heavy environment to survive in.
You had to respect it to live.
Precisely. Then later, the Soviet industrial era imposed the literal heavyweight of mining and factory labor.
Right.
So the throat singing and the rock music that emerged later, they are basically the synthesis of enduring both.
Ah, I see.
It is direct, unpolished, and resilient. It is the sound of people who know how to carry heavy loads, whether those loads are made of ancient stone or modern steel.
Wow, that perfectly sets up our next geographical shift, I think.
How so?
Because if the Urals are about enduring the heavy weight of the mountains, what happens when all of that weight just vanishes?
Right, when things flatten out.
Exactly. We drop south into the steppe. And for you listening, I really want you to try to visualize this.
It's quite a contrast.
It really is. Imagine standing in a field of feather grass that just rolls like an ocean. It is so flat and so boundless, you can practically see the curvature of the earth.
It's endless.
Yeah, there are no mountains to hide behind, no dense forests to shelter in.
And that creates a profound psychological vulnerability. Definitely. I mean, when your geography provides absolutely no natural borders, your land basically becomes a natural highway for anyone on horseback.
Which brings us to the Cossacks.
Yes, the Cossacks.
The notes describe them as semi-autonomous warrior communities. Their whole identity was built around the horse, deep brotherhood, and a mindset of, like, freedom or nothing.
Well, they had to be that way.
Because of the open space.
Yes. Look at the history of the steppe. It has been a relentless battleground.
Just constant fighting.
Right. You have the Mongol invasion sweeping across the plains, massive clashes during the Russian Civil War, and the catastrophic battles of World War II.
Like Stalingrad. Right.
Exactly. Stalingrad, which is now Volgograd, is right in this corridor. When you live in a place with zero natural defenses, your culture has to become the defense.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me, though. You see that defense in the most surprising places, like the music.
Oh, the choirs.
Yeah, the notes highlight the Kuban Cossack choir. They talk about this polyphonic, throat-like resonance.
It's incredibly powerful.
It is. It's entirely male vocal heavy, incredibly deep, and it sounds almost like a literal battle cry. I love the metaphor the notes use. They call it an auditory fortress.
That's a great term for it. And it's a vital adaptation.
How do you mean?
Well, think about it. If there are no canyon walls to echo your voice and no dense forests to catch the sound, you literally have to sing louder just to prove you exist in that massive void.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and the traditional Cossack dancing is the exact same way.
With the baggy shirovary trousers and all the kicking.
Exactly. Wild, energetic kicks, spinning, squatting down to the ground, and launching back up. It is all about projecting intense outward energy.
Taking up space?
Right. When the environment is that empty, you have to fill it with your own volume and movement. Otherwise, you are just swallowed by the sheer scale of the landscape.
Okay, I have a bit of a chicken and egg question here, though.
Sure.
Are they this loud, fierce warrior culture because the empty landscape makes them feel small and vulnerable, forcing them to overcompensate? Or are they warriors simply because a flat plain invites so many invading armies and they literally had to fight constantly to survive? Like, which came first?
I mean, it is the ultimate feedback loop, really.
How so?
The flat geography makes you incredibly vulnerable to invasion, right?
Yeah.
Which forces you to develop a highly mobile, militarized horse culture just to survive.
Right.
But once you have that culture, the endless plains suddenly become your greatest tactical asset.
Because you can ride forever.
Exactly. You can outmaneuver anyone. So the landscape forces the adaptation, but then the adaptation turns the landscape into a weapon.
That is wild. Okay, so they turn the endless flatlands into a weapon. But eventually, that endless highway of grass crashes into a literal physical wall.
The Caucasus Mountains.
Right. And reading this, the societal structure flips completely upside down here.
Oh, 100%. We go from unbounded movement to severe isolated containment.
The notes detail extreme ethnic diversity here. Dozens of groups, Chechens, Avars, Ossetians, all packed into these incredibly tight mountain valleys.
Yes, very concentrated.
And the dominant cultural vibe listed is respect above all, and a man is his word.
Very strict toes of conduct.
Exactly. And the notes also mention the fiercely contested history here, you know, from the Caucasian War in the 19th century to the Chechen Wars of the 1990s and 2000s, just relentless conflict.
The region has been shaped by a lot of devastation, yes.
Right. And obviously we're just reporting what the sources say here, not taking any political stances on those wars.
Of course.
But I look at this and I try to find an analogy. It almost reminds me of a submarine with watertight doors.
The submarine.
Yeah, like if an empire invades one valley, the sheer mountains sort of seal off the other valleys, preventing the whole region from being conquered at once.
That is actually a highly accurate way to look at it.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, the alpine terrain is so harsh and impassable that these valleys basically act as individual pressurized compartments.
Wow.
Because each clan was so isolated, they developed distinct languages and customs. But the overarching mechanism of survival remained exactly the same across all of them.
Which was what?
Absolute loyalty to the clan.
And the fashion perfectly illustrates how functional this warrior culture is.
Oh, the coats.
Yes, the traditional coat they wear, the Cherkeska. It has these very distinct rows of little tubular pockets across the chest.
Right.
At first glance, it just looks like pure decoration. But the notes explain those are actually built-in cartridge holders.
Yes, the gaziri.
Gaziri, okay.
Think about the mechanics of fighting on horseback in steep, rocky, vertical terrain.
It sounds like a nightmare.
It is. You cannot be fumbling around in a saddlebag for gunpowder or bullets while trying to navigate a sheer cliff drop.
Right, you fall.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You need to be able to reload in half a second using one hand without looking down.
So it's pure tactical function.
Yes. The environment demanded a specific physical action to survive, and so the clothing evolved to accommodate it. And over time, that tactical necessity just became a symbol of readiness and honor.
Speaking of honor, the lyricist notes suggest a phrase here. Honor heavier than mountains.
I like that.
It's very poetic. They mention massive, multi-day weddings and this concept of sacred hospitality.
Hospitality is huge there.
But I'm honestly confused by the hospitality aspect.
Why is that?
Well, if these are isolated, defensive warriors constantly guarding against empires, wouldn't they just be incredibly hostile to any outsider?
You have to look at it through the lens of the environment. I mean, in a modern city, if you get locked out of your house, it's like a minor inconvenience, right?
Right, you call a locksmith.
Exactly. But in the high Caucasus Mountains in the dead of winter, if you are caught outside without shelter, you die.
Period.
It is a biological certainty. Therefore, offering shelter to a traveler isn't just being polite. It is a sacred life-saving duty.
Oh, wow.
Because tomorrow, you might be the one caught in a blizzard, relying on a neighboring clan's hospitality.
So it's mutual survival.
Exactly. Your reputation, your word, your honor is basically the only currency that guarantees your survival if you ever have to leave your valley.
The geography literally enforces a moral code. That is just fascinating.
It really is.
Okay, so we have covered the institutional power of Moscow, the forge of the Urals, the open plains of the steppe, and the fortress valleys of the Caucasus.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have. But our final stop completely abandons the idea of human control.
Oh, definitely.
We fly to the extreme far east, Kamchatka. The Notes call it the land of fire and ice.
It is a peninsula perched directly on the Pacific Ring of Fire.
Which means volcanoes.
Lots of them. We are talking about over 300 volcanoes, 30 of them fully active, sitting right next to glaciers and a massive valley of geysers.
That sounds like another planet.
It does.
Hmm.
And the geography here doesn't just shape the culture, it dominates it entirely.
Right, because the indigenous groups like the Idlemen and Koryak, they practice animism. They literally have rituals for talking to the fire.
Which makes perfect sense there.
It does. When you look at it through the lens of those volcanoes, animism isn't just some abstract spiritual concept. It is a deeply rational way to view the world.
Absolutely.
If the mountain next to your village randomly erupts and spews lava, you are absolutely going to treat the earth as a living, breathing entity that needs to be respected.
Precisely. Because you are not imposing your will on that landscape.
No way.
You are negotiating with it on a daily basis. You see it in their reliance on dog sledding, reindeer herding, and, surviving off wild salmon, cloudberries, and that world-famous Kamchatka crab.
Right. The food is all wild.
Yes. They operate strictly within the margins that the extreme geology allows them.
But then the notes throw in the most jarring plot twist of the entire document.
The Cold War era.
Yes. During the Soviet era, this ancient, animistic, volcanic peninsula was designated a closed military zone.
Totally off limits to outsiders.
Completely sealed off. The notes use the slang. They call Kamchatka the quiet dude in class who don't say much, but then you find out he wrestles bears and lives next to volcanoes.
It's a very vivid description.
It is, but I'm totally lost on the logic here. Why hide a highly sensitive military operation in a place where the ground is literally exploding?
You hide it there precisely because the ground is so hostile.
Really?
Yeah, it is all about geographic deterrence.
Yeah.
I mean, look at a map. Kamchatka sits on the far eastern edge of Russia, directly facing the Pacific Ocean.
Closer to Alaska than Moscow, right?
Exactly, making it the perfect staging ground to project power toward North America. But more importantly, the coastline is rugged, freezing, and incredibly dangerous.
Oh, so it keeps people out.
Right. If you want to hide nuclear submarine bases and Pacific naval fleets, you put them in an environment that is so naturally impenetrable that no enemy spy or invading force would ever dare try to navigate it.
That is unreal. So you have these ultra-modern, apocalyptic nuclear submarines silently navigating out from under the shadows of ancient erupting volcanoes, while indigenous herders are like moving reindeer a few miles away.
It is the ultimate geographic paradox. The lyricist notes summarize it as a boss-level environment.
Boss level. I love that.
It really is the extreme edge of human adaptation.
A boss-level environment. So what does this all mean? We started this deep dive looking at preparatory notes for a songwriter.
Right.
But what we have really unpacked is the realization that geography is the ultimate ghostwriter for all of us.
I completely agree.
I want you to really think about this as you go about your day. Whether you are listening to this while navigating a dense, concrete urban jungle or driving down a quiet, flat, rural highway, the earth beneath your feet is secretly writing the lyrics to your daily life.
It really is.
It is shaping the food in your fridge, the clothes in your closet, how you interact with strangers, and even how loud you have to speak to be heard.
We saw it everywhere today.
Yeah.
In Moscow's polished institutional endurance, the Urals' fusion of deep forests and heavy industry,
Yep.
the auditory fortresses built on the vulnerable open steppe, the watertight clan loyalty forced by the Caucasus Mountains, and of course, the sheer volcanic respect demanded by Kamchatka.
The land always sets the baseline rules of survival.
Always.
Which leaves me with one final provocative thought for you to chew on.
Okay, let's hear it.
We have just explored how these extreme, deeply rooted regional identities were forged over centuries of harsh weather, isolation, and unyielding geography.
Right.
But what happens to those identities right now? We live in an age of rapid climate change, high-speed internet, and global connectivity.
That's a great question.
If the freezing winters soften, if those isolated volcanic borders in Kamchatka become deeply connected to the global web, or if the wild steppe becomes entirely paved and domesticated, do these fierce geographical identities slowly fade away? Or do they mutate into some entirely new kind of cultural folklore? The Earth is still writing the song, but it seems like the genre might be changing.